Gentlemen, start your engines. Hey guys, and welcome to the Drive Talk podcast, and welcome to Le Mans 2024. It's pretty special, isn't it, mate?
I mean, we have had some amazing backdrops over the past 18 months, once again, this absolutely tops it. And I'm not even going to apologise for the noise in the background because, well, it's a given.
I think that might be the car that's leading the race at the moment. That was the Ferrari just going past there. Well, yeah, so one of the things we set out to do with this podcast right from the get-go was to have amazing backdrops and really cool audio. We're certainly going to definitely deliver on one of those and hoping you'll be able to hear us for the rest of it. But we wanted you to join us at Le Mans. We are here, guests of Michelin, and when we first started working with Michelin on the podcast, that one of the things that we, if you like, the thing that they can give us is access to cool places and amazing events and cool guests, and they have delivered in spades this weekend, eh?
It's just been awesome. And the best thing about it is we're not even a third into the race, so we've still got so much to go, which I know we're going to talk about. Yeah. It's just been awesome so far, though. Really has. It does feel like it's starting to rain a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, we're in Le Mans, and there is a saying that says it always rains at Le Mans, and we've experienced rain about 7 times today, and then sunshine, and then rain, and then sunshine. So, yeah, expect all types of weather. I think I'm going to cop it more than you, though, being out here.
Well, yeah, but not as much as the guys racing around the circuit, going into the dark, and it starts to rain. So we started our journey to Le Mans way back on Wednesday.
Yes.
So we've driven down here in Michelin UK's Porsche Cayenne E-Hybrid. Crayon. Banging spec.
James from Michelin spec'd it. I think he definitely ticked a few boxes.
Yeah. The interesting one, though, was made the wheels smaller and got really nice sidewalls on the Pilot Sport SUVs.
Yeah, Pilot Sport 4 SUVs, which are N-marked, so homologated tyres for the Porsche. And they look lovely. I love the chunkiness of the sidewall.
And the ride quality is amazing.
Yeah.
So we drove down, we overnighted in Rouen, and then we got to the circuit on Thursday and got straight to it, didn't we?
Yes.
There's no let-up in terms of...
The schedule has been, I mean, considering we've also had to organise the podcast on top of everything, but it's just been non-stop, long nights, early mornings, but that's kind of what you do. I think we're going to need a week off when we get back.
I know. I guess, I mean, we got here in time to watch one of the practices, and then we also got to watch the Hyperpole shootout, which was really very cool. But it was who we watched it with that was pretty special.
Extremely special. I mean, none other than Mr. Alan McNish, literally on this balcony down the other
just
end.
Over there, 3-time Le Mans winner, and I mean, just to spend time with him was a real privilege, actually. But there was just the 4 of us and Alan chatting about Le Mans, he telling us some amazing stories.
Funny guy.
Funny guy.
He's a very PR-y guy, and I've met him many times, and he's very good as a brand ambassador.
Yeah.
But I mean, we were sitting there and off the record, and it was just he is hilarious.
So he's well up for coming on the podcast. We did actually want to try and get him on this recording, but he's just so busy. He does lots and lots of work with different brands and stuff around here, as well as Michelin. So it wasn't possible, but he lives in Monaco, and he did say we could go down and record an episode with him in Monaco.
And James did say that that's fine expense-wise.
Yeah,
so
the good thing is James can't actually hear us what we're saying. But yeah, that was amazing. And then on Friday morning, we had a tour of the Le Mans Museum, and Alan did the tour. And that was just unreal as well. If you ever come to Le Mans, it's well worth because a lot of people travel down on Wednesday or Thursday, soak up the atmosphere. If you've got a couple of hours spare, go to the museum. It wasn't a huge amount of money to get in.
Less than €10.
Yeah, and it's fascinating. They've got all the little model cars of all the cars that have ever won. They've got this fantastic layout of the circuit, which is brilliant to familiarise yourself with the circuit.
Yep.
And then they've got some very special cars.
They even had a Mazda 787.
B, yes. Oh, here we go. So how many times have you been to Le Mans, Joe?
I think this is my 5th or 6th, so I'm very lucky.
Okay, and when was the last time you came to Le Mans?
About 12 months ago.
12 months ago. So you're here for the 100th anniversary, which
Yes.
I couldn't go to because I was in Rome. I've only been once before, in 1991. Which, if you think that's funny, Patrick was -4 when I was last at Le Mans. So obviously I've been getting... Is it full course yellow, by the way?
I think it is, yeah. Something's happened out there.
So yeah, I'm getting it in the neck for being an old fart, basically. But the car that won last time I was here was the Mazda, the little 3-bank rotary. What a car with Johnny Herbert driving.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And when I was here, so if you go over to that side, there's now a Ferris wheel over there. It used to be over by the Dunlop Bridge, but that was a place called Maison Blanche. So my campsite I stayed in was just over there. But it's changed a lot. It's changed a lot in 25 years.
I'm sure it has, but then the basics of it are probably still very similar. You know, the love and the passion and just everything here. And I think going back to the museum, walking around it with Alan was special for a number of reasons. Special because obviously he gave us more insights than we had the night before when we were here. Talked about all the cars and the eras, and you could see his appreciation for the much older stuff. I mean, you know, he's a brave man for what he did, and he had some big accidents. But I mean, when he was talking about the older cars that had no safety equipment, you could see him just thinking those guys were just absolutely, you know, the bravest people. But then watching the general public that were in there that were just second taking, they were like, that looks like Alan. Wait a second. And it was just hilarious.
Especially when we were stood by his Le Mans winning car. People going past going, So we had a lot of selfies taken. But yeah, no, it's such a lovely guy. But it was quite revealing. I asked him, I said, what if you take to one side the era that you drove and the cars you drove, which Le Mans car would you like to drive? And basically it was nothing older.
Yes, yeah, that's true.
There's definitely a full course yellow coming on. That was Valentino Rossi's just driven past coming in a pit. So he's there leading his class,
what are we, 6 hours in basically, and Valentino Rossi's BMW GT3 is leading the GT3 class, which I mean is amazing. In fact, is that where we went next? We went to the parade.
Yes, the driver parade.
Yes.
That was cool. So again, if you're coming to Le Mans on the Thursday, Friday now, Friday.
Friday, yeah. I'm losing track of time.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So all the drivers, they congregate in the town, in Le Mans town nearby, and they have a driver parade. So there's all different kinds of open top cars and sports cars.
Old Mustangs and things.
Yeah, and they all go around and they drive around the town, but they all kind of gather. We went to the drivers parade, and it was fascinating, wasn't it? So there's all of these very well known, because
Romain Grosjean, obviously French.
There's a lot of Formula One drivers on the grid.
Yep.
There's, you know,
Jenson Button,
Buemi, Jenson Button, Robert Kubica.
Yep. Nick de Vries.
There's low. He was only in Formula One for 10 races.
Well, yeah.
But they were all there, but the one person that was getting all the attention and had the biggest crowd
before he'd even arrived, yeah.
was Valet.
That guy is just, he's an amazing guy.
What a legend.
Yeah.
The other thing, by the way, the best thing about coming to Le Mans and doing a podcast is we've got beer on the go. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, buddy.
That was really cool, the drivers' parade. And then what did we do? Then we came back and we watched. Then there was evening practice, which is quite cool.
Evening. That was on the Thursday. There was a little bit of evening practice, and then we walked the track. We walked the track last night.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so we're giving you all of these tips the next time you come to Le Mans. Bring a scooter.
Yep.
Or a bike.
And a rain jacket.
And a rain jacket.
And another rain jacket.
Yeah, because you can. On Friday night, they open up the track for anybody. You don't have to. We're very lucky. We've got very special very special paddock passes and access all areas.
You've only had one sip of beer, mate.
You don't need that on Friday because they open the track. You can walk, run, bike, scooter the whole way around. It's just over 8 miles.
Yep.
It's a hell of a long way. But all the pits are open as well, and you can walk down and have a look in all the pit paddock.
It's great. I think that's what's so. I talk about MotoGP as being very accessible compared to other sports, let's say F1. Yeah. But then when you get here, it's another level again. It's so, like you said, we're very lucky to have what we have. But if you just got general admission, you're here. You get to do a lot of things, and you get up and close and personal to everything, which I think is really important for the fans, and especially the youngsters. You know, they're not just stuck in a seat miles away.
I tell you what, we did do. We went to the Road to Le Mans paddock as well.
We did,
and that's the kind of feeder series in. So if you want to come and race at Le Mans, it's not. Even if you've got a race license like we have, because we're racing drivers, aren't we, mate?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It takes a long time to qualify for Le Mans. You have to go through a number of feeder series. But there's a support race here, and they're all kind of there's the LMP2 cars and GT3 cars, right?
LMP3,
beg your pardon, yes. But they're all running on Michelin tyres.
Yep, the customer tyre.
Customer tyres, so you can buy them. So we went and had a look at the engineering place where they basically fit all the tyres. Well, they 500 quid a corner, wasn't it?
Yes, roughly 500 quid a corner.
500 quid a corner, and they'd use 5 sets of tyres.
Yep.
Over the week.
What did they have? About 1,200, I think. Is that right?
Yeah.
I think that's the number I had.
That's unreal.
Yeah.
So it's raining. It's definitely raining, people. So that was really cool. But I guess it leads us on to the main racing. So the hypercar class, which is the pinnacle of what cars are racing behind us, and it's phenomenally close.
Yep.
Because they have this balance of performance things. So they basically, I wish they had it in Formula One, because they might slow Max Verstappen down a little bit. But they basically, I don't know, is it done by weight or is it done by power reduction? I should have done my research.
I think it's weight. I think they're all restricted by power with ECU, but it's weight. Yeah. So if I don't know exactly how that's worked out, but it's worked out leading up to Le Mans, and then as far as I know, they can then tweak it after practice and qualifying a little bit.
It's a bit like British touring cars do exactly the same thing, right?
Yes, but yeah, I mean, I think it's quite complicated here in the sense that touring cars usually off the last result or how you're doing in the season.
Yeah.
Whereas here, I think you can sandbag a little bit, and then turn it up a little bit for the race. And I think we've seen a few, because Ferrari, they were up there, but then as soon as the race started, they were leading. They're still, 1, 2, 4 and 5 or something at the moment.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, but on the whole, they all seem pretty level, don't they?
Well, qualifying was unbelievable.
What was it, a tenth of a second between the top 3 or something?
Yeah, on
1/10.
Yeah, on a 4.5 minute lap.
Unbelievable. Unreal.
So that, I mean, you look at the hypercar class, and there's 3 or 4 manufacturers, all pretty close. I know Ferrari are doing particularly well at the moment, but Porsche, Ferrari, Alpine, Cadillac. I think Cadillac wins Le Mans anyway, because that is the best sounding car here, isn't it?
They should get a trophy. Patrick and I, when we were here last year, were like Cadillac and the NASCAR. They should get an automatic trophy anyway for just giving us that eargasm. Yeah. Because they are so good. I mean, they're probably upsetting the podcast a little bit, but they're just so good.
So that brings us on to today.
Yes.
I mean, we got an early night last night to prep us for basically a long day today. But today has been, it was always going to be pretty special. But one of the things we were going to do, we do a grid walk, and we wanted to try and do a kind of Martin Brundle-esque grid walk. And about literally half an hour before we were due to go down to the grid walk, Michelin came up and said, you've got a choice. You getting wet there, mate?
A little bit, no, yeah, don't mind me.
You've got a choice. Grid walk or hot lap around the circuit in a Porsche 911. Well, Joe and I considered that choice for all of a nanosecond. And Pat came along as well, which is really, really cool. And we went round the circuit. So just over my shoulders, you can see maybe behind me, is Porsche Centre Le Mans. So very much like the Porsche Centre Silverstone that we went to.
Experience Centre,
with the podcast. It's exactly the same thing here. But whereas at Silverstone, they've got their handling circuits, here they've got
the Bugatti circuit. Yeah.
They've got the Bugatti short circuit. But because it's open for the full race, we did a hot lap around the Circuit de la Sarthe.
And it was a hot lap.
Oh, mate. So... Again, some of you may well have, in fact, there was a guy that he won it in a competition, hadn't he?
Yep.
The guy that was with us. So some of you might have done a hot lap or been out around a circuit with a professional driver, and we're very lucky in the position we're in. We get access to those kind of things quite often, but they're normally quite paradey, aren't they? I did a hot lap at Formula E this year, and it was amazing, but 3 or 4 laps were quite slow speed, and then it was just the last couple of laps that were quick. So you never really know.
But you did know in this one. I think I said to Ped when we got out, I was like, mate, when I found out we're doing this, I would have been like, oh, I wish I could drive. But about 3 seconds into the lap, I was like, I wish I wasn't driving. I'm so glad I'm not driving. And I mean, to give you an idea of the speeds we're doing, so the first down the Mulsanne straight to the first chicane, I spotted 297, 298, which is 185 miles an hour before we got on the brakes. And it was like that the whole way around.
Were you in like a GT3 or a turbo or something?
GTS Cabriolet.
You're in a Cabriolet?
That's probably your dream. That's literally your dream car.
It is now. I was in a GTS Targa, and again, we 185, 187, something like that. It was unbelievable.
Absolutely nuts. It was and they were on PS4S tyres. Star marked? No, that's BMW. N marked. Yeah. See, I've had 2 sips of beer.
Yeah.
But loads of grip because the conditions were a bit slippery this morning. Not as bad as they are now. I'm a bit distracted maybe because I'm getting really, really wet. I knew I would.
Don't be such a wuss. But no, it was. I gave a real appreciation of. And actually, Mulsanne straight through the 2 chicanes was impressive, but the Porsche curves, mate, they carried some speed through there. That was unreal.
It was. For a road car, I couldn't believe tipping it in to the left kink, 270, and then I'm sure he turned in at about 245, which is 150 miles an hour in a convertible 911. I mean, it's just... Oh, we've got some action behind us.
They're all going.
Are they all spinning off?
Aren't they? Yeah.
Oh. That's going flat. Oh.
Hey. So what's happening behind us now, if you're listening on Spotify, this is definitely one where you need to head over to YouTube, and while you're there, make sure you hit subscribe and make sure you follow us on the whatever podcast platform you're listening to, because behind us, the conditions are changing. It started to rain, and a lot of these cars, they will have been out there on slicks. Now, the slicks, they're pretty good, but they don't expel water. But the wet tyres that they run here, so we've got a guest a bit later on in the podcast. We're going to talk a little bit more about the tyres and stuff that are being used out there. But it's that crossover period now, and the problem is the circuit is so big. This 8-mile loop. Yes, it's raining here, but it could be completely dry out at Arnage.
Yes, 100%. Just like a bit like the N24, where they got that same sort of massive landscape. But especially here, it's so localised it tends to be.
Yeah.
Like you said, then you've got a wet tyre that's going to get you through this section. But if the other 80% of the circuit's completely bone dry, it would normally overheat. So you've got to produce a tyre that can deal with the temperatures of the dry bit of the circuit and then help you through here. It's just a gamble. And I think that's what makes the 24-hour race. You've got different manufacturers and you've got the weather that always plays a part here. So it's all about the pit stop strategy.
Your beer, Joe.
And it's luck as well, undoubtedly, because if you just come through this section and then it starts hammering down, you've got to do a whole nother lap before you get the wets on.
And we were sat here watching practice and then the hyperpole, but in practice particularly, there were so many outbreaks and offs just in this bit, because this is the pit entry just behind us, and they really attack. There's a little chicane in the pit entry, and they really, really attack it.
Yep.
And every now and again it goes wrong.
It does. It does.
But yeah, no, I think the mechanics of, if you think about what's happening in that tyre, 250 to 300 kilometres an hour.
Yep.
What's the G-forces on that?
Well, no, 350 these guys are doing.
I suppose the hypercar.
Yeah, hypercars are doing 350 down the Mulsanne straight. But I mean, it's just unbelievable. The loads that must be going through them, the conditions, what they have to deal with, the curbs as well. Because when we walked the track yesterday, you could see how aggressive some of the curbs were that they're attacking.
Yeah, I think if you've got the chance on the Friday to walk the circuit, I mean, we didn't walk all of it. We walked up the start-finish straight all the way really round to Tête Rouge, which is just the beginning of the Mulsanne straight.
There's a bar there, apparently.
There was a bar there, yes, definitely. But the thing that amazed me was the elevation change, because you can see the monitors around. There's monitors everywhere. You can look at the TV, but you don't see that elevation change at all. And we'd driven it on the sim because there's a couple of simulators. We'll talk about sim racing.
Oh yeah, please do. Yeah.
No, really won't. But you drive it on the sim and you don't really see that elevation change so much on a sim.
No.
But when we went round, we walked it and then we went round in those Porsches. Oh my days.
Yeah.
But so yeah, hats off to the guys from Porsche Experience Centre Le Mans, because they can drive. But lots of them were working all weekend, right? They were doing like emergency cars and things.
Yeah, so the guy that I had said that, tonight he's working a shift with one of the medical cars, because it's such a big circuit, unlike F1 where you've just got the one medical car, I think. And here you've got them scattered all over the circuit in little lay-bys. And he was doing 8 till midnight and then 8 in the morning till midday. But wow. The majority of the Porsche Experience Centre drivers are employed to be medical or safety car drivers, which is really cool, because they know the circuit very well, and it's just, I'm sure it's great fun for them.
Mate, my guy, when we left the kind of start finish, or the start, I just went, send it. That was a mistake. Unreal. Anyway,
well, I almost didn't get to go out because
this is so funny.
I'm sure we talked about it on the pod before, but my nickname at school was Big Head. Unfortunately, the one on my shoulders. Oh, we just had a spinner.
Oh, spin going into the pits.
And I have always had issues trying to fit helmets. So there's been many a time where I've turned up at a go-kart place, especially when I was younger, and I've not been allowed to go-kart because the helmets that are supplied don't fit me. So we got here today, and the biggest helmet they had was an extra large. Unfortunately, didn't fit me. Head is looking the other way.
No, he's really struggling. He was going into the pits and he span, but he span in such a way he couldn't get to go back in the pits.
So he had to go out in the...
Well, he didn't want to do that either, so he had to back up and then go around.
Oh, brilliant.
So big head. But luckily...
In the nick of time, I managed to get out. I've probably still got a bit of a scar on my forehead because James was like pushing down, but we got it on.
Bonk.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh dear. So that was highly amusing. And then, so we came in from that, and then we went over to the Michelin have multiple hospitality spots. This is their big lounge where they do all the dining. Downstairs is a lovely restaurant, surprisingly. Michelin, very good food.
Yep.
But they've also got some hospitality in the main pit complex above the garages. So we went there to watch the start of the race.
Literally over the start line, wasn't it?
And I have to say, I'm a massive Formula One fan, but there is something about this place. The noise, the atmosphere. It was a very, very special thing to see that race start.
I think the different classes as well, what makes Le Mans and N24 is the different classes. We've got the hypercars, we've got the LMP2 cars, and we've got the GT3 class. And they're all very different. I think the LMP2s are about 10 seconds a lap slower than hypercars, so not a massive difference. GT3s are a good 20 seconds slower than that again. So when you factor in 24 hours of racing, they're just all mixed up together. And we talked about this at the start, it's all very well being a fast driver. You could put an F1 driver in one of those hypercars and they'll get right up there in terms of outright lap time. But it's all about the experience of night, wet conditions, and dealing with coming up and approaching those slower moving cars and figuring out, am I going to get past them before the tight section? Because here, doesn't matter if you've got the lead hypercar and the slowest GT3 car, so both ends of the scale, that hypercar's not getting past that GT3 car if it hasn't committed by there. It won't get through because it's too dangerous, there's not enough space. So it's just trying to figure out where to take risks, where not to take risks. And everyone, and also, it's not the hypercar drivers as well, it's also the GT3 drivers making sure that they're not going to put themselves in an accident while that's all happening around them. And the first few laps, just 5 abreast down Mulsanne. And
I think the first hour of Le Mans is some of the most exciting motor racing you'll ever see.
Yes, agreed.
It's just incredible because the hypercars catch up the GT3s really quickly within a handful of laps, really, and then they start fighting their way through.
Yep.
Oh, wow. And they're fighting each other at the same time as trying to get past all the GT3s and stuff.
Yep.
Absolutely incredible.
And it goes all the way to the end, like so many years, the years that I've been here. Sometimes it's like literally a couple of seconds between first and second. And you think, how, like 2 manufacturers, how is that possible? 24 hours and 25 rainfalls and all the rest of it. And a puncture here and a little accident there. And yet they end up like literally 100 meters of tarmac together, you know? It's just like unbelievable.
Sensational. Absolutely amazing. So we're going through our timeline. So we watched the race start, and then we went down to your mate's garage, to Ollie's garage.
Yeah. So big shout out to Ollie Milroy. He invited us. We saw him at the driver parade yesterday, and they'd put their Inception McLaren 720 Evo something GT3 very, very fastly on pole, and they invited us down to the garage for the first or second pit stop. We timed it perfectly.
Oh mate, it was unreal. We literally walked into the garage, and it was a driver change pit stop.
That's
as well.
right, yeah.
Because a lot of the pit, so they'll go out. Most of the cars will go out for maybe 45 minutes, 50 minutes, and then have to come in and refuel. But the driver normally will stay in the car and then go back out again. So they'll do like a double stint. But yeah, and then so they don't change drivers every pit stop. They don't put tyres on every pit stop. But we just happened to be there when it was a driver change, a refuel, and a tyre change. It was really cool.
It was, and you could feel the tension. They were still leading at that point, which I think for them was almost unexpected. It's the first time they've come to Le Mans, and I think they've had a slight issue, but they're fighting their way back up through the field. So it's just, and the thing is, I think another saying out here is it's not over till it's over. Because again, over the years, you know, you could have some bad luck in the first few hours, a puncture or whatever, spin out, lose 30 seconds, which in an F1 race or any kind of normal race, it's over really at that point, isn't it? But here, keep your head down. You just don't know what's going to happen. The others, everyone gets some bad luck during the 24 hours, and it's just epic.
And we bumped into some pretty cool drivers, and we jumped into Tom Christensen. Oh.
Tom was walking through the public area with some glasses on and a hat, and I saw some film crew, and I was like, oh my god, that's Tom Christensen. But no, like he was so like subtle that no one else. And I walked up to him, I was like, Tom, can we have a quick selfie with you? I won't make a big fuss of it, because if we did, everyone
was like, oh,
9-time Le Mans winner. I mean, he's like a Valentino Rossi of endurance racing. I don't think there'll ever be another Tom Christensen. And really, really lovely bloke.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Fantastic. So then the idea was to come and film the podcast in the daylight. It's nearly dark now.
Yes.
But then we got invited over to something that you and Pat were very happy about, a sim racing competition.
Yes, I'm already going to put my excuse forward. We were very happy, but we didn't manage to get any practice in because we were very busy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'd driven this one, but it was a different sim.
Yeah, this one's.
So this was basically, and it was streamed on Twitch. It was a thing organised by Michelin. There were 6 sims.
The production was massive.
It was massive. It was proper. A live stream all the way. There I am, you know, professional sim driver. Not.
Wait, aren't you a Porsche factory driver?
Well, I am. I was trying. And I was driving a Porsche on the sim.
Oh, well, there you go. Brilliant.
But yeah, unfortunately, so they had two kind of rounds, and the top 3 drivers from each round qualified for the final.
For the Super Pole.
For the Hyperpole.
The Hyperpole, sorry, yeah.
Unfortunately, I missed out on qualification by just 2 seconds.
Yep.
To James from Michelin.
Who was drafted in last minute.
I know, right? I was like, but then, so you and Pat qualified.
Yep.
And then you got through to the final.
Yep.
And should we just say you beat Pat?
Yes.
But you didn't win.
I didn't win, no.
There was this dude who'd been practicing for like the last 3 days.
Yeah, but to be fair, I think even with loads of practice, he would have just had us. I mean, there was a couple of seconds in it. Well, 4 seconds in it.
Yeah.
But it was great still. For me, it was like I'd already sacrificed that I wasn't going to win because I'd seen this guy in the other semi-final.
Yeah.
But to beat Pat feels good.
By 4/10 as well.
Oh, it's just brilliant. Yeah,
he's absolutely.
Because Pat normally always beats me by about 4/10.
Well, he beat you in the qualifying, right?
Yeah, he did.
So,
yeah. I wasn't trying then, obviously.
But they were really cool, really cool simulators. So we were basically driving the hypercars. So you were in a Ferrari the first time.
Yep.
And then the Porsche.
And then the Porsche.
Pat was both times in a Toyota.
Yes.
And I was in the Porsche.
Yep.
Well, my one. Yeah, really cool.
They were really cool.
Really, really cool.
Yeah. And to put it, I mean, the lap times were so similar to the real life. But actually, I think we talk about that in the next segment.
We do indeed.
Yes.
We do indeed. So now we are really looking forward to getting the podcast out of the way and enjoying the racing as it goes into the night. Because I think for me, Le Mans at night time, this is when it becomes like no other event. I know there are other 24-hour races, but there's just something about this place at night time. So we're going to watch some racing from here. But the thing that you absolutely need to do if you ever come to Le Mans is you need to get out to Indianapolis and Anage,
Yep.
which are the corners that are kind of, I'm pointing out out that way. So they're the corners that are sort of after the Mulsanne straight, between the Mulsanne straight and the Porsche curves. But they're really, there's a slow left-hander and a slow right-hander.
Yep.
But you get to see the brake discs glowing, and the flames coming out the exhausts. And
there's a couple of big banks there that you can just sit on. Again, it's a public area, essentially.
Yeah.
There's a food van there, there's a beer van there, and it's just full. Patrick and I were there, and Sam Reynolds. Shout out Sam if you're listening. We were there till 3 a.m.-ish last year, and honestly, the crowds, it was like being there at 3 p.m.
Yeah.
There was so many people there, and like you said, the atmosphere was just epic. At night, it smells, I know it sounds strange, but it does smell different, and I think your senses are higher at night. I can even feel it now as it's getting darker here.
Yeah.
And as you say, the brake discs, there's just so many special things. It really is. It's awesome.
Yeah. Now, before we tell you about what we're going to do tomorrow, just before we started rolling this podcast, we had a very special guest join us from Michelin, Nora Vass, who is the head of Michelin Motorsport Marketing, and it was just a fascinating conversation. So let's just cut to that, and then we'll tell you what we're doing tomorrow. Now then, guys, it is our pleasure to welcome a very special guest from Michelin, Nora Vass. You're head of Michelin Motorsport Marketing, is that correct?
Yes, absolutely, that's correct.
That's what an amazing job. You get to go to all the great locations.
Yes, I do, that's true.
And is this your biggest event as Michelin?
It is our biggest event for the motorsports. Yeah, definitely.
And how, I guess the first question we wanted to ask was, clearly everyone knows Michelin for road tyres and race tyres, but what is the primary objective for you as a company to go racing?
Well, the primary objective for us is to work on our innovation. It always has been, and especially Le Mans, it started more than 100 years ago. Already at the first race in 1923, it was won on Michelin tires. And since then, we were here, most of the years, and we're here this year too, and it's always bringing some new technologies, some new innovations, because race tracks are our test tracks also.
Yeah.
So because of all the data that you can collect, because of the extreme conditions that you have, because of the performance requirements, what we can learn in one race would take us a couple of months to do in a laboratory environment in our research centers.
Yeah.
So we've been using motorsports to accelerate our innovations, and that has been part of the group strategy since the beginning.
And I guess, so those innovations, there's a performance innovation for the race cars to go faster, trickle-down technology into road car, but then there's a really big environmental piece going on at the moment as well. Would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we talk about innovation today, it's around innovations that contribute to sustainability, durable innovations that reduce the impact of tires on the environment. And especially in endurance racing and motorsports, that has been the focus in the past couple of years. So we are working what we call the life cycle analysis, is understanding for the tire, starting from the raw materials that we use, the production processes, the logistics that are associated, the usage, and then the recycling afterwards. What is the most impactful for the environment? And for the race tires, it's actually the raw materials that we use. So we started to work on the raw materials and how we can use recycled, renewable materials inside our tires. I came to our motorsports division 3 years ago. We had 46% of renewable, recycled raw materials inside our competition tires. And now we are at 71%. If you saw the hydrogen car, he was running on the 71% tires after the rain. That's true for our slick tires. And that has been just a huge gap that we managed to close, and we are continuing that road. So definitely working on these materials. And when we talk about renewable and recycled materials, it's orange peel, pine resin, recycled steer cords, carbon black that we get out of used tires. So a lot of things that we can put and re-put again in the tires, and that has a huge impact on the environmental side. There is another aspect that we're also working on, because I talked about data collection, simulation, working in the virtual environment. I always used to say, you see these simulators here with the guys who are playing.
Yeah, these guys have been already on the simulators.
Okay, I will check your times.
Yeah.
I will check your times.
He came second, he came third. Did very well.
Very good.
I didn't qualify, though. Let's not go there.
You see. And I didn't have time to play. But no kidding, we have simulators, not the same one, but there are. When I first came to the motorsport division, I was like, oh, this is a cool place. You have like young kids playing around simulators. And no, these are engineers working. No way. But yes, so we have our own software and our know-how that we develop to test tires and develop tires. So we don't have to go to the tracks anymore, because almost half of the development goes now in the virtual space.
Wow.
So we can test different formulations of tires. We can test performances matched to tracks. We can test tire pressures and even how you will, have set up the race cars with the tire setups in this virtual environment. So
it's amazing.
This is something really cool, I think, to be done, because it reduces impact on the environment, speeds up the process, gives more accurate data. Win-win for everyone.
Wow. I mean, talking of sims and how realistic they are, and the pro sim driver down there got the same time as the qualifying lap yesterday.
Yeah.
So it just shows you there that that the data is there, isn't it? It's proven. It's amazing.
It's amazing. So, in terms of long-term goals, because I guess most people would think about race tires, they come off the car. I guess most people just think they get ground down, and that's the recycling bit. What's the ultimate goal for Michelin in terms of, if you're at 70+% now, is there an opportunity to be at 100%?
Yeah. So the goal is to, by 2050, to go up to 100%, not just for the race tires, but for every tire that has been produced by the company. So that's kind of our North Star, pole star that we're going towards. And we're going very fast. What our engineers say, that it's the last 15% that's going to be the toughest. So have to be prepared for that.
And then I guess the question, just obviously there's two types, there's slick tires and wet tires being run here.
Yeah.
And we had a look round the Road to Le Mans paddock on Thursday, and we were talking to the engineers there. And I know they're different tires to the hypercar class.
Yeah.
But those wet tires, there must be a lot of learning about tread patterns and water expel rates and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And even slick tires, we have 3 types of slick tires here.
Yeah.
We have 3 different compounds that goes with the different temperatures. I don't know if you watched what were the choices at the beginning of the race. Softs and mediums, colder temperatures, a little bit milder temperatures. And then with the wet, they were trying to change and figure out what is going to happen in the couple of minutes. And actually, nobody can figure that out.
Well, they're thinking, is it going to rain?
Yes.
And it's so big here, a bit like the N24. It's so big, it could be raining here and dry on the Mulsanne Straight. So it's like making your wet tyre perform in the wet and the dry, because you don't want it to delaminate too quickly in the dry section. So it's amazing.
Now, I have a question. We kind of know the answer, but I want to share it with our audience. So we were talking about the hypercar tyres, because the ones in the Road to Le Mans, you can buy those. Anyone can buy those, right? They're kind of customer tyres. but the hypercar tyres aren't, are they?
No.
What happens if a team was to accidentally misplace or lose one of those tyres?
They have a fine.
And how big is the fine, Nora?
It's 1 million euros.
Wow.
Has that ever happened?
It did happen.
Really?
What actually happened is that somebody called us up and told that I have a company who wants to sell me a Michelin race tire.
Oh, wow.
I think, guys, this is yours.
Oh, my. Wow. So it had got that far, so...
Yes, but it was a long time ago, and, it was something that just happened. But normally it doesn't happen. But, this is Le Mans. We also are in MotoGP.
Yeah.
And in MotoGP, we have the teams cannot leave the ground until they collected all the tires.
Really?
Wow.
So Joe's a massive MotoGP fan as well.
Yep.
So of all the different motorsports that you look at, which is your favourite? Do you prefer Le Mans or MotoGP or?
It's a different game.
Yeah.
It's a different game. I was here for the Michelin MotoGP, the French MotoGP, a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And what the funny thing is that I don't realize it's the same place because it's not the same setup.
Yeah.
So it's like being in a different place in a different time in a different race. So it's different feelings. I love MotoGP because of the superheroes racing against each other. But Le Mans, you have that magic moment, when the sun goes down and you see all the lights, you have all the sounds. I think nothing compares to that.
It's funny you were talking about MotoGP because Valentino Rossi is racing today.
Exactly,
and
yeah.
Joe was saying just before we started recording, he's actually in the car right now, leading the GT3 class.
Yes,
Just
that's
so
what
cool.
he should be doing.
Yes.
Number 46, of course.
Exactly. Yeah.
So epic.
So how many Michelin staff and so this must be a massive event for the company.
Yes.
Because you walk around, there's branding everywhere. Is that your kind of that your responsibility as well?
Yes.
As where do you see Bibendum and where do you see the blue and the yellow?
Yeah, exactly. We used to call Le Mans as our second home, our vacation home if you like rain. So you can see that we feel at home and we kind of we don't own the track, but we kind of are part of this track. We have more than 100 people here on the grounds. You have around 40 or 50 people who are really working on the tire side in the tire workshop. We have 15 to 20 engineers collecting all the data that I was talking about. We have, of course, the management teams. We have commercial staff. We have communication marketing people running around. We rent actually a full hotel in the center of Le Mans. It's just the Michelin people.
That's where. What? Just for the staff?
Yes.
Oh, I
just
thought
for
that's the one we're staying at, which is very nice. That's another one. Wow, and you must plan for this. You must be planning maybe for not next year, the year after, or sort of a long time in advance.
Yeah, I used to joke with the team. It's not before Christ and after Christ, it's before Le Mans and after Le Mans. So there are some things, priorities will be handled before Le Mans, and then the other ones come after.
It's the calendar year, basically. It starts now.
Yes,
exactly.
Brilliant.
Now the killer question though is, who are you backing to win? Who would you like to win, or do you have to stay impartial?
Yeah.
No, we are impartial.
You're impartial.
We are impartial.
You're not allowed to say.
I'm not allowed to say. I was sitting with our engineering stuff. I love to watch the race with them.
Yeah.
And I was said, I love your impartiality, guys. I
Yeah.
love the way you are not telling anything about the different teams.
Yep.
So
Well, I guess the bonus is all the hypercars are on Michelin, so you're a winner either way. It doesn't matter. You're always going to win.
guaranteed a winner.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes, but we have an internal game. We have it for all the races. It's like a betting contest between our teams. So you can place your bets, and there's a winner at the end of the year, which gets a big applause. That's all. But yeah, we love to play ourselves there too.
Wow.
Brilliant.
And then is there any kind of big things coming in the near future? Sort of big strategy changes, or?
Well, Le Mans, we will be in Le Mans.
Yeah.
We will continue to be in the hypercar category for Le Mans. That's definitely true.
It was funny. I was at Formula E in Tokyo earlier this year, and I think they all want you to go back to Formula E as well, because they were all saying, the Gen 2 cars were much better because they were running on Michelin. So I think you need to head over there.
No comment. Yeah.
Yeah. What I only can say, normally when we arrive in a competition, lap time will be better. So.
Well, I know you're a very, very busy person, and it's just fantastic that you shared your time with us and the invite to come out and for me, the last time I was at Le Mans was in 1991. It's a long time ago.
Yeah.
And these guys are reminding me of that mercilessly, but it is such a special place.
It is.
And such a special race. And as the sun goes down and we head into the night, I think we're really looking forward to heading out and sort of seeing some. Do you actually get time to watch any racing? Are you going to be staying awake for 24 hours or do you have some time for some sleep?
So every year I say, okay, this year I really will go to bed early and then, have a big sleep and then come back on Sunday. I think last year I finished at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, yes.
The year before it was at 5, so I don't know. You never know what's going to happen during the night.
Wow. Well, I hope you have a rest and manage to watch some of the racing and be impartial with your cheering.
Absolutely.
Nora, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Guys, just fantastic to get that insight into I think just why Michelin are here, and it's fascinating. There's so much trickle down into the things that we drive. I mean, actually, the last thing I want to talk about very briefly, we had a hot lap in a Porsche 911 today from the Porsche Centre, Experience Centre behind us, and it was on Pilot Sport 4S's, so not even Cup 2s. Oh my God, that was unbelievable. So that's the ultimate trickle down. It wasn't a racing car, it wasn't on race tyres, but we did 300 k's an hour down the Mons Arm, and not that far off through Porsche curves. It was unreal, wasn't it?
Unbelievable.
And I guess that is a great place to finish, because that motorsport development program ends up with tyres like that on your road car.
Yes, exactly. And it gives you the same thrill.
Oh wow!
Absolutely.
Nora, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's amazing, mate. If we could have guests like that, wasn't she just fantastic?
Amazing. Best guest ever, especially here. I mean, you couldn't have made it up.
No, and she, just so the talking about all of those things, the sustainability stuff. There's, for me, one of the things I love about being associated with Michelin is that yes, they're a tyre company, yes, they make tyres, but there's so much more to their approach to tyres. And I think that I wouldn't say they get grief, but there's a lot of stuff around heavy cars like EVs and SUVs at the moment, and tyre wear and environmental impact of that. And I don't think people realise just how much work companies like Michelin are doing at the moment to help that.
Yeah, I mean, it must be such a challenge for them because cars are getting heavier. We want more efficiency. We want more grip. We want more sustainability. We want all these things, and yet they're all making the challenge harder, right? It's but they're improving on it, and as we talked about with Nora, a lot of that, or most of that, comes from the racing side of things. Yeah. This is where they learn all of that technology sped up. But it's just, it is cool. We've talked about that a lot on the podcast before, that the sustainability word does get overused in our world today. Yeah. Brands and people love using it because it ticks a lot of boxes, but not all of those actually make things more sustainable and actually produce things for the positive. And when you see what Michelin are doing and what they're doing for the future, not just the now, it really is quite amazing. And it does impress me because it's not BS, it's real. What you see is what you get.
I think if you think about Formula One often say, oh yeah, well we're developing technologies that will end up in your road car. And yes, there are examples of things that have started off in a Formula One car, but there's quite a few things started off at Le Mans that ended up windscreen wipers. I found out today.
Really?
Alan said windscreen wipers were invented at Le Mans.
Wow.
I know, that's how long Le Mans has been going, right? But things like matrix headlamps, those types of things.
Diesel. I know. Yeah. Unfortunately, diesel today is a dying thing. But Audi really pioneered TDI technology and made people take it seriously when they turned up at Le Mans 15 years ago, whatever it was with it. It's
performance diesels.
Performance diesels, it's the hybrids, it's all these technologies, but including and almost top of the list is the tyre technology.
But it's the tyre, though, where I was going is it is literally a direct link. And it takes a while. So we talked about the road to Le Mans a little bit earlier in the podcast. But the hypercar tyres that are being used today, the technology that you see in those hypercar tyres, which is very proprietary, that's why you have £1 million fine if they go missing. But they were saying when we went round the road to Le Mans paddock that it's about a 5-year timescale between the hypercar tyre coming in and then going into road to Le Mans, and then that trickling then down into the road car program.
Right.
But those tyres that we went round in the Porsche, that the 4S or Cup 2 or Cup 2R,
Yep.
they're that good because of what's happening behind us.
Yeah, of course.
Because of what happened maybe 5 years or 10 years ago at Le Mans, that's why we can go and drive fast down a B road or go on a track day.
Yep.
And it's a direct link, and I think that's really cool.
It is very, very cool. It's not just marketing. It's not just, Michelin. No, actually, Michelin.
Exactly. So, shall we talk about tomorrow?
Yes.
Because we've got a couple of very cool things happening tomorrow. Number one is we've got motor racing to watch all the way until 4 o'clock, which is awesome. But we've got quite a special treat tomorrow, haven't we? I mean, we're being very spoilt.
Yes.
And before, we're not going to go, ooh, look at us, how lucky we are. We are very lucky and we know it. We've had amazing access so far, and we will continue to do so.
And we are making the most of it as well.
Yeah.
And hopefully, I think with the podcast, this was happening from the outset. This was what we sold to James, and I think just doing this at like 10:30, whatever time it is now. We haven't eaten dinner.
Yeah, it is 10:30, and we haven't eaten dinner.
Yeah, and we're just, we've made the effort because we really want to share this all with you guys and on our socials. And I know Ped has recorded a video for your channel, so make sure you check that out, because I'm sure that would be good, because he's always got his camera out, like sticking it in. But yeah.
No, we are very lucky. So the hot lap was an unexpected treat.
Yes,
but the one we have known about.
We're doing another hot lap tomorrow.
We're doing another hot lap, but we'll be at probably maybe 2,000 or 3,000 feet in the air. Because tomorrow we're going to fly over Le Mans in a helicopter.
Yes,
it's just going to be amazing.
How good would that be?
Yeah, so that's pretty special. And then obviously we'll watch the race till the finish. But yeah, no, it's amazing. But right now, what we're going to do probably is wrap up this podcast.
Yep.
Pack all the kit away.
Yep.
And go and watch some racing.
Absolutely.
But a massive thank you to Michelin and all of the team here that have made us so welcome. Big thanks to Nora for being an amazing guest.
Yep.
Should we go and watch some racing?
I think we should, mate. Yeah.
Make sure, please, subscribe to the channel. Give us a like on the podcast platform. Follow us on Facebook. Do all the things you can to grow the audience, and that will mean that we can go to other cool places like this.
How are we going to ever top this, though?
I'm not sure, to be honest. But yeah, put it in the comments. What do you think of our backdrop? Try and name a better backdrop that we could aim for than that.
Yeah.
We don't do Zoom call podcasts here,
No.
Oh no. we chuck Patrick the most difficult editing challenge ever.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're gonna wrap up. We're getting a wrap up sign from Patrick. We're gonna stop.
Wrap up.
He can't actually hear what we're saying.
I know how we're gonna finish this one.
Go on then.
Easy now. I've got an.
Oh, he's drank all his beer. There's no beer left.
Just a little bit. There we go.
Cheers. To Porsche's winning.
To anyone on a Michelin tyre winning.
Yes.